Star Trek, the ultimate franchise. These are the podcasts of the Wakefield brothers. Their 16-year mission to watch every production, to seek out life lessons and new inspirations, to boldly watch like most fans have watched before. Welcome back to Temporal Directive, the Star Trek fan podcast, rewatching the entire franchise in chronological order. I'm Gary.
And I'm Tom.
And this week we're watching Star Trek Enterprise's Fight or Flight. But first... in Trek news, we got some casting announcements for Starfleet Academy. 3 young people that I've not seen them before in anything. But Carice Brooks, Bella Shepherd, and George Hawkins are joining the cast, which I assume they will be playing cadets at the Academy. That hasn't been confirmed, but I assume they look young. And I think last week in our intro episode, I think I said that they haven't confirmed the time period that Starfleet Academy is going to be set, but they absolutely have. And it is going to be in the 32nd century. So where Discovery left off. To start with, I was like, nobody wants to see anything in that era. Like,
Give it up.
give it up.
Yeah.
But I was reading an interview with the showrunner, and they were saying that the reason they're setting it in that time period is because they wanted it to reflect what young people are feeling now, and that if they set it in the like glory years of Starfleet, like in that next gen lower decks kind of era,
Yeah.
things are too peaceful, things are too plentiful, like it's too positive an environment. And at the moment, with the world the way it is, you know, cost of living crisis and countries invading countries and whatever the fuck is happening in America.
Bit of shit going down. Yeah.
That's just not the world that is around them. And because Star Trek tries to reflect what's happening currently, that setting is more appropriate to tell a story of coming of age. So the reasoning behind it makes sense to me, and I think that's probably going to be a much more rich canvas for them to put stories of young people against. So I'm actually looking forward to it.
You know, it's not a bad idea, really. It's a good backdrop. And like you said, it's good for Star Trek to do that kind of thing, because that's what it's always sort of done.
Exactly.
Like, reflect on the now.
Yeah. I thought it was an interesting take, and it sold me on the concept, so I'm in.
Yeah, as long as they do it well, which I'm sure they will.
Fingers crossed. And also, Star Trek has announced that they're doing a big appearance at Comic-Con this year, at San Diego Comic-Con, which we're in the other side of the world.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
we won't be attending, as much as I'd love to be there.
Yeah.
But hopefully we get a lot of news and updates for the next season of Strange New Worlds, what's going to happen with Lower Decks. I'm hoping there's this Save Lower Decks campaign going on.
Yeah, that will be good, because that is a bloody good series.
Yeah, it's really good. And hopefully we get some more updates on Section 31 and the Starfleet Academy show as well.
Yeah.
But I did see yesterday some really cool news that the showrunner from Star Trek and Doctor Who are going to have a panel together. And they're calling it the first Intergalactic Friendship Day, because it's on the same day as International Friendship Day.
Nice.
So they're doing Intergalactic Friendship Day. The idea behind International Friendship Day is it's about bringing peoples, countries, cultures, and individuals together and creating friendships that can inspire peace efforts and build bridges between communities. So something that Star Trek has done, you know, since its conception. But of course, the showrunner of Star Trek and the showrunner of Doctor Who getting together has fans speculating, is there going to be a crossover? Yeah. Is that the news that is coming?
You see, now that would be pretty cool.
Yeah? Do you think so?
Well, I think it would be, but I like crossover things like that. Like, I think that would be pretty fun.
It's not often that we get a big crossover like between big franchises like that.
No, especially that one. I mean, both of them have been going on for years and years and years. It would be quite unbelievable to see something come out between them. Would be incredible.
They did I know a few years back, Doctor Who and Star Trek did a crossover comic book And I remember seeing the cover. I'm not a comic book guy, so I didn't read it. But I remember seeing the cover, and it had Matt Smith's Doctor sitting on the bridge of the Enterprise D.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is pretty cool. But now I'm like, I could see the TARDIS materializing on the bridge of the, Pike's Enterprise. I could see that happening.
Yeah, I'd be happy to see that. That would be pretty awesome.
How would you feel about if Doctor Who showed up in a Star Trek episode, or if the Enterprise showed up in a Doctor Who episode?
Well, yeah, that's a good question, really, because you'd have to. I think it would probably work better if the Enterprise rocked up in Doctor Who, because they could probably do more with it. In a way, they could almost go with not canon if they wanted to. It depends how they want to play it. I mean, it's in their hands, not mine.
Yeah, but it's fun to speculate.
Yeah, it is. So I think they could have a bit more fun with it. They could play with it a bit more in the Doctor's hands, if that makes sense.
Well, Doctor Who, to me, I love it. So this is a criticism coming from a place of love. Yeah. But it doesn't always stick to its own rules about things. Absolutely. About how things work in their universe. Yep. And that's okay. That's fine, because I love it. And it doesn't matter, because how things work is less important than what the stories
are. I agree. Absolutely.
But Star Trek's not like that.
Yeah. And that's what I mean by putting it in Doctor Who's world makes it better, because they can do things outside those parameters without affecting the Star Trek world. If you put it in a Star Trek episode, you have to confine what the Doctor's doing in that world.
Yeah, okay.
That makes sense?
Yeah, okay.
Because we're not watching a Star Trek episode, we're watching a Doctor Who episode.
Yeah, so it doesn't have to make sense.
That's right. So you can play with it a bit more.
Yeah. This week's episode is Fight or Flight, written by Rick Berman and Braden Braga, who wrote last week's pilot episode, and directed by Alan Croker, who recently had directed the Voyager finale, Endgame. The original air date for this episode was October the 3rd in 2001, and the IMDb synopsis says, Captain Archer wants to convert curiosity into deeds and decides to enter a ship floating in space. Hoshi has trouble adjusting to life on Enterprise.
Thrilling.
Do you remember this episode at all?
Not even in the slightest, to be honest.
Okay.
Like, nothing.
Yeah. I don't think this one was okay. I think it was... I don't think it's as good as the pilot, but I think it was okay. But I guess we'll go and watch it now and find out.
Yep. Sounds good.
All right. We'll be back in a second. And we're back. So, that was Fight or Flight. And what did you think, Tom? What's your first reactions?
That we should skip all of it.
We can't jump straight to the original series. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's sad. That's very sad.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen worse episodes, but it didn't do much for me.
No, it's not an overly exciting episode at all.
One of the first things they talked about in the episode was that they've been out there exploring for 2 weeks and they hadn't done anything interesting except get a slug, right?
Yeah.
Now, I am just thinking that if I was running Starfleet and I'd been working on a Warp 5 engine for, I don't know, fucking years, I would have a list of places that we were heading to. Do you know what I mean? Like, I would have like a checklist of things that we could see, but we hadn't been able to visit before. I would have like a to-do list to start with.
Yeah, absolutely. You would.
So why are they just roaming around without any sort of idea of where they're going or what they're doing? And I get exploration is the point of Star Trek. Absolutely, I understand that. But they are the first people out this far.
Yeah.
Wouldn't they have things they wanted to do?
Yeah, well, we even do now. Like, we even have the Andromeda system that we could head to right now. Like, you'd go there.
If we suddenly got warp drive.
That's right. If you'd go there, So why are they just going, let's point into that direction that has nothing and we'll go there and see what happens? Like, it just doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
second star to the right and straight on to morning.
Exactly.
It's not how we do things.
No, it makes no sense. Especially when that is the whole point of what they're doing is to go and find stuff. So why go to nothing?
All right, well, let's get into the episode and talk through it, all right? Let's do it. So we open on the slug.
Mm-hmm.
Can we just say how heavy-handed this allegory is, right? I understand that they wanted to make her scared of what was coming and uncomfortable and out of place,
Unsure of herself.
I understand it, but I think I would have liked it more had they not doubled down using the slug.
Yeah, I agree.
This allegory in particular was just so thick and unnecessary.
Yeah, absolutely.
So even right at the start, so we open with Hoshi in sickbay with Sluggo, and she's talking about how the slug isn't meant to be in this environment. Phlox wants to feed the slug to the bat.
Should have done it.
And then Trip comes in and says that they've been out there for 2 weeks and that the slug is the only first contact they've had. Cool. Forgettable. And then we go to the captain's ready room and he's irritated by a squeaking deck plate.
Yeah. Yep. Which is fair enough. It'd annoy the shit out of me. It would absolutely annoy the shit out of me.
Yeah. And then Hoshi comes in and asks to change quarters because the stars are going the wrong way. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which, wouldn't they be going the same way no matter what side of the ship you're on?
I would think so.
Yeah, because it doesn't change the
You're
direction.
moving forward.
That's it. You're going that direction. So, they're still going that way. Doesn't matter what side you're on. If you're on a cruise ship, it's still all going in the same direction. The only thing that changes is which side the porthole's on. It doesn't look different to you.
So anyway, she gets permission to switch quarters. Excellent. And then we see Reed and Mayweather testing the weapons in simulations. Reed seems pretty eager to blow things up, and Mayweather's like, dude, chill.
Yeah.
My parents have been out here for 23 years and we've had maybe 6 problems. So it's going to be okay. Don't think that everyone's going to be hostile. But the torpedoes keep malfunctioning. They're not targeting properly, whatever. They just keep failing. And then we cut to Trip and Phlox in the mess hall. Trip asks about Sluggo, again complaining about being out there for 2 weeks and not having done anything. Phlox is loving it though. He is in his element. He is surrounded by unpredictable humans that are doing odd things that he is just loving.
Yeah.
He's learning to appreciate talking while eating, and then asks about wanting to watch a couple mate. He's in his element. He's loving it. We could do this forever. We don't need to find any other species.
No, that's right. He's already looking at what he wants to look at.
Yeah, he's good. Cut to the bridge, and they have found a ship that seems to be just floating there, no signs of activity. And Archer sends a message over in as many languages as he can, just saying, we come in peace, basically. And then says, oh, and we're from this planet called Earth, and here's a map to get there. What? Okay. So let's pretend it was the Borg.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Let's pretend that it's the most hostile species that's out there.
Yeah.
Before the alien has even acknowledged your existence, you're giving them a map to get there?
Yeah. Map straight to the home world.
Straight to home.
Yep. Here you go. Have this. Here we are. Here's how we kill. Here's a whole anatomy profile and everything too while you're at it.
I just don't understand.
No, it's pretty crap. But that is a very human thing to do too, isn't it?
I guess.
That's the kind of thing we do. We've done it in the past. We'll probably do it again if we're sending out messages and stuff. It's galactic coordinates.
Yeah, we're here. Come and say hi.
Yeah, come and say hi. Yeah.
But they get no response. They debate whether they should go over to the ship. Archer wants to go and get over there. T'Pol is saying, we shouldn't do this. Why would you invade this alien ship? And she says a great line. I quickly wrote it down. I'm not sure if I got it exactly right, but not everyone chooses to open the door when they hear a knock.
Yeah.
Love it. I guess this episode really shows that humans are still trying to figure out what they should do when they're out here, right? They haven't got a prime directive yet. There's Starfleet exists, but there's no Federation. There's no guidelines. Jonathan Archer is the first captain to be out here doing this stuff. So he's still learning as he goes. And he makes a lot of mistakes in this episode, as far as I'm concerned. Like, he should never have gone onto that ship. So, anyway. So Archer decides to go over there. Trip begs him to go with him. And Archer says, no, we don't need an engineer. We have Hoshi and we have a security guy. That's all we need. Before they head over there, the captain's recording his log in his quarters again with his dog. Cute dog, by the way. And while he's recording, he's like, maybe T'Pol's right. Maybe we shouldn't go. But I'm going to go anyway. And Hoshi comes in and says that she doesn't want to go because she doesn't want to get into the environmental suits because she's claustrophobic. And Archer is just, what? You're on a spaceship. What did you think you were signing up for?
Yeah, like, hello. You went through training. There wasn't any issues. What the hell's happening? Like, you're literally in space right now.
You're in space right now.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Why would you even do that? Why would anyone do that? Even if you had to do that as part of your job, you'd know it straight up, wouldn't you? You'd just say to people, look, I can't do this, and you wouldn't do it. Just plain and simple.
Or you'd just do it.
Yeah, well, that's it. Like, if you sucked it up, then you'd suck it up again and again and again until you got used to it. Like, it's one or the other. It's not, I'll just go to the captain and say, look, I'm not going because I just don't want to be in the suit.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you took the job.
Yeah.
Like, either do the job or quit.
Yeah, that's right. Just don't be here.
But she's going through an adjustment period, and I think that's the point of this episode.
Absolutely it is.
It's about adjustments. It's about learning.
Yeah,
and
it's about slugs.
It's about slugs. So they dock with the alien ship, and they get on board, and they find a bunch of green liquid, which they quickly decide is blood because of the amino acids in it. Mm-hmm. And then as they keep exploring, they find a big hydraulic system that's pumping this blood into tanks. And then you hear Hoshi scream, and there's 15 dead alien bodies strung up to the ceiling with all these tubes. So they're being drained. All their blood is being removed and pumped into these big tanks. Instead of doing anything there and then, they get back on the shuttle and they go back to Enterprise and say, we just found 15 bodies. What are we going to do? And T'Pol says, we should probably get out of here. They're definitely going to come back. They wouldn't have left them here with the pumps to just leave them.
Yeah.
These people are going to come back. So we should not be here when they come back.
Yeah, you're going to put us at risk, your crew at risk by staying. So, we should probably leave because there's not much you can do. You wanted to help them. You can't help them because they're already dead. So you've done what you could. Your motives were admirable. Let's go.
Yeah. And Archer listens and says, let's go. Off they pop.
Yep.
They leave that area, and Phlox and Hoshi are in the sick bay having a conversation. She's all embarrassed because she got scared and she screamed on the ship. And this is where it's real heavy on the allegory again. Hoshi is talking about the slug, and she says she needs to go to an environment that's more suited to her. Clearly she's talking about herself.
Yep.
And then Phlox says perhaps somewhere she could teach.
Yeah. Yeah. It was ridiculous, unnecessary. All of it was just,
Just get rid of the slug and this episode would have improved.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, like if she had just went to him for advice and talked to him and had a proper conversation with him about it, it would have been much better. But no, they had to do it with a slug.
I really like Phlox.
Yeah, me too.
And I think the conversation that he was having with Hoshi was really good.
Yeah.
But this whole slug thing throughout the whole episode is just rubbish.
Yeah, ridiculous, unnecessary.
Then we cut to Archer having dinner with T'Pol and Trip in his little galley, captain's galley. And they're talking about the dead crewman, and clearly it's not sitting well with Archer. He's really upset. He's wrestling with, did we do the right thing? He clearly, the way he's talking, believes that they did not do the right thing.
Yeah, he's getting quite angry, especially at T'Pol for not having it as an emotional response as he is.
Yeah, that's right. And he asked, would you have left them hanging if they were Vulcans?
Yeah, exactly. Getting quite irate.
Yeah, he was getting cranky pants. And then Trip tried to tell him that you did the right thing, whoever killed them was going to come back and you were protecting your ship. And then T'Pol said something about having a code of behavior that they try to obey. And Jonathan says the same. So they reverse course and head back to the alien ship. And they assign different missions for different people to do some jobs when they got back onto the ship. And so Phlox was going to find one of the bodies and do a bit of an autopsy, find out what exactly was going on.
What the species was.
Yep, if he could. And then Trip and Hoshi were going to work on the technology, try to get the ship up and running so they could get into the language database and hopefully send a message to wherever home is or another ship to let them know what was going on. So Trip and Hoshi are having this conversation where, again, Hoshi's complaining about the situation and how scared she is all the time. And she says she's going to ask Captain Archer to take her home. Trip's trying to talk her down. You know, you'll get this. It's new. It's okay. But she just doesn't seem to want to have a bar of it. At this point, she feels like she's done. So Phlox is doing his scans and investigation into what's actually happening with the bodies. And they've all died of different causes. They've strapped them up and put in the tubes and everything to pump out the triglobulin.
Globulin.
Yes.
Globulin.
This is why I'm not a Star Trek actor, because techno. So they remove the triglobulin from their system. And Phlox says that it's very similar to the lymphatic system in humans. That's correct, right?
Yes, it is. It is. I was just waiting to see if you'd get it right.
I got it right. So then we cut back to the bridge, and T'Pol says that the aliens that killed the other aliens are back. Bum, bum, bum. The away team get back on the shuttle and fuck off out of there, going back to Enterprise. So they attach to the docking arm. The aliens are not responding to the hails. And then they start shooting. Yeah. So the aliens start shooting at Enterprise, which of course detaches the shuttle pod, and then they have to reattach the shuttle pod. And wouldn't it just be handy if the shuttle had like a shuttle bay door rather than a docking arm?
Yeah, wouldn't it?
Would make more sense. Fly
Yeah.
straight into the door anyway.
Yeah, not only that, but wouldn't it be good is once you've attached to an arm, it actually latches on so that you couldn't get disconnected like that easily?
It seemed pretty easy.
Yeah, like it
a
just
little
sort of
nudge.
slipped off. Like it wasn't a big deal. And it wasn't even overly dramatic, that scene. Like it was just like, oh, we've detached. Oh, okay.
No biggie.
Yeah, whatever.
Happens all the time.
Yeah.
So they get back on Enterprise. Aliens are attacking. Enterprise fires back, but doesn't really do anything. The aliens blow out one of Enterprise's warp nacelles, so they can't go to warp. They can't get out of there. Then they do this big, deep bioscan. So Dr. Phlox is like, I'm sure they just figured out that your lymphatic system has got some juicy juice in it.
Mm-hmm.
So imminent threat. The aliens trapped them in a beam, then lowered down. They were about to clamp on and start drilling through the hull. And another alien ship shows up. So this is the same aliens that are the dead ones.
Yep.
And Hoshi saves the day by quickly learning their language and communicating what happened. I'm trying to shorten
it right up. Yeah, 'cause she was trying to use the computer. The alien got confused with the computer. And then they all convinced her that she has to do it in person and that she can do it. So that she gets brave enough to confront her fear of failing, so that she, stands in front of the screen and has a conversation with the guy and saves the ship.
Yeah. Hoshi saves the day.
Yep.
The friendly aliens now shoot the other guys and blow them up. And in the captain's log, real briefly, they say that they spent some time with the Axanar. This is our connection to the wider franchise. The Axanar were actually mentioned in the original Star Trek series, but never seen. So yeah, that was the first time we ever seen them in however many years, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, nice.
And then they go to a CG planet.
Yes.
And Hoshi and Phlox are on that planet in an argon-rich environment, and they release Sluggo into the native habitat. This is an alien species that you're introducing into a environment that you know nothing about.
Yeah.
Are you sure this is a good idea?
Yeah. Well, they must have. No, it's not good. It's not good at all. Like, I mean, you can argue all sorts of points and hypothesize because, it's one slug, so they might not be able to mate and run a whole species. So just lives out the life of the slug, maybe. I don't know.
What if some other animal eats it?
It turns into a whole alien situation. Turns where they pop out of the chest and
maybe, or the equivalent of COVID, and the whole planet goes into lockdown. They could have just introduced something that becomes a global pandemic in this other strange planet.
That's great. Yeah. Yeah, well,
you just don't know.
No, you don't. You shouldn't be. You shouldn't be messing with that kind of thing at all.
You should have taken Sluggo in the first place.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right.
Leave it where it was.
Yeah, that's right. What are you even taking it off its planet for? Especially if all you're going to do is eventually put it on another planet that has a similar environment. I mean, what the fuck were you doing in the first place? Like,
feed it to the bat.
Yeah, feed it to the damn bat. It's a fucking slug.
It could have been a circle of life moment.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, it is. It's just dumb.
Right. Well, that's fight or flight. Now that we've talked about it, what are your final thoughts? What do you think?
That they had done better with Star Trek, and that they have done better now with Star Trek.
Yeah.
That Enterprise was a sad low point in Star Trek history. No.
Wow, that's harsh.
I really remember it being bad, and I'm not getting very encouraged rewatching it.
This is only the second episode.
I know, but it brings back the memory of how much I didn't like watching it. The first episode really actually encouraged me, but then watching this one has just sort of slapped me in the face again with the reality of how bad I remember it being. Yeah, so not impressed.
I liked elements of this episode. I liked the whole torpedoes not really working. I liked that we're still trying to discover how it all works and figure it all out. And even though Jonathan Archer made a lot of mistakes in this episode, I don't think he should have gone to that ship in the first place. Well, what would you have done if you were him and you went over to that ship and you found all those bodies? What would you have done when you were there?
Well, I would have left. Like, in that situation, I would have went to the ship, to be honest, because there was damage to the hull, and there was sort of evidence that there's something might have actually gone wrong. So in my gut, I would have probably felt like there might have been something wrong, so I would have probably gone to the ship. When I found the bodies, I would have left. I would have said, this isn't my thing, my crew's going to be in trouble and all that kind of stuff. And I would have got to that point and I would have left and I wouldn't have went back.
Right.
That's how I would have felt.
Okay.
I would have said, I don't want to put my crew in trouble, let's go. Yeah. That's me anyway.
I feel like I probably wouldn't have got on the ship.
Yeah.
Even if I got on the ship, when I saw those bodies, I probably would have done what he did when he went back.
Yeah.
Right? So I probably would have gone, let's find out who they are and let their people know. Let's do that.
Yeah.
But I think going off the ship, flying away, and then coming back, you're making things really dangerous for your crew right now. If you had done that in the first instance, great. But the longer the gap is before you go back to do the right thing, the more likely it is that these aliens are going to show up again. And that's exactly what happened. So I think maybe he should have chalked it up to experience and just gone, you know what, I'm going to wrestle with this, but if I was ever in this situation again, I would not have just run away when I saw dead bodies. I would have done some investigating and done what I could to fix the situation.
Yeah, in the instant.
But I think going back and putting the crew in that much danger after that much time had passed, that was the biggest mistake that he made.
Yeah, and I think you're right. Like, if that was his biggest problem. Like, once he made the decision to leave, he should have stuck with it.
Yeah.
Like, in watching the show, and that's where it was, that was his mistake. Yeah, I wouldn't have done that. Like I said, what I'd do, but that's his mistake, was going back. And you know, that fighting with should I go on the ship and all that kind of stuff, I think was done quite well. And I even actually think that Scott Bakula done a good job in this episode too, because as I've said in the first podcast, that I'm not a huge fan of Scott Bakula. But in this, he was actually done quite well. Like, I actually really got into it with his reactions to his decisions and his trouble that he was having there. So that was actually quite good.
Good.
Yeah.
I don't think it was as good as last week's premiere.
No.
All right, so now that we talked through the episode, what about the life lesson? What's the life lesson in this episode? Do you think? What did you get out of this episode?
Well, I guess it's sort of the life lesson would be, have a bit more faith in yourself, a little bit more trust in who you are, that you can do more than you think you can. That's sort of what I got out of it, Hoshi. I mean, it was a pretty obvious thing that they were trying to shove in your face with the slug, wasn't it?
Yeah, this episode was not subtle.
No.
Yeah, very much believe in yourself. You're kind of your own worst critic. Yeah, don't give in to that fear. Overcoming anxiety and doing something that
Learning to adjust.
Yeah, exactly.
The last line that Hoshi said was literally that, was it's not exactly the same environment, but it's easy to adjust.
Yeah.
That's literally what she said.
Yeah.
It's not worth quoting because it was just
No. Yeah. But one of the things I thought we might do moving forwards, I know we didn't do this last week, but I thought we might do our own rating out of 10, and then I might create us an account on IMDb so that we can rate the episodes as we go.
Oh yeah, good plan.
We have to agree on this because it's going to be a Temporal Directive IMDb account.
Uh-huh.
So we have to come to a consensus on what to give this out of 10.
Oh wow. To do that, should we have a 10 out of 10 Star Trek episode that we agree on?
Ooh.
And then work back from that?
Okay.
Because otherwise we don't have a standard to set.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So what for you would be a 10 out of 10 episode, and what for you would be a 1 out of 10 episode?
Good question.
Out of the whole franchise.
Yeah, out of the whole franchise. Wow, that is a tricky question.
That's tough, right?
Yeah.
I've got some thoughts on ones.
Yeah.
Voyager's Threshold. Code of Honor in TNG.
Actually, yeah, that's pretty damn low. I hate that one.
Everybody hates that
That's
one.
such a bad episode. That should be 1. Is there a 0 on the list?
All right, so we're saying TNG Code of Honor.
Yeah, that is bad.
So our examples of ones are Code of Honor from TNG and Threshold from Voyager.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, 10s. What are the 10s?
Well, I really like, is it Time's Arrow with Picard and his heart? Is that Time's Arrow? Or is it
Time's Arrow
is the one with his goes through his whole life?
No.
Okay, see, like I said, I don't know the names of them.
Time's Arrow is the 2-part time travel episode where Data goes back to San Francisco and meets Mark Twain.
See, I don't know. I don't know names. I suck at names of episodes. But the one with where Picard...
where Q sends him back to the Academy days and he gets stabbed in the heart.
Yes, like I really like
Tapestry.
Tapestry, that's it. I really like that episode.
Yep. I absolutely agree with you. That episode just is excellent.
Yeah,
it's I don't know. You can't get much better.
No.
Inner Light, maybe.
Yeah.
Inner Light is another excellent one. But yes, Tapestry is peak. But what about another series? What about, is there a DS9 or a Voyager or something that resonates at that level for you? There's 2 Deep Space Nine episodes that come to mind.
Yeah.
For me, and that is The Visitor.
Perfect. Absolutely.
Yep.
It is a brilliant episode. And the second episode, I think, if you said 2 out of Deep Space Nine, it's the second episode also writing.
Yes.
Yes, with all the writers from the where Benjamin sees himself as a writer back in like the 60s.
Correct.
And because that is such a good episode as well. They would both be top of my list out of Deep Space Nine as well.
Yeah, okay. We're going to say Far Beyond the Stars, DS9, Far Beyond the Stars, and TNG's Tapestry are our examples of a 10 out of 10. All right? So, now we're talking about Fight or Flight.
Yeah.
Where would you put Fight or Flight in that scale?
About a 2 or a 3. It's probably a 2 or a 3. I'll go 3.
Okay.
Because it's early on And I think Archer was good, and I think it was a good message. So I'd put it at a 3, I think.
A 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to agree with you on that. All right, we'll give this one a 3. Seeing as we didn't do it last week, what would you have given Broken Bow?
I think I'll give that one a higher mark. I'd probably put that up there a bit higher, probably about a 7. Probably, well, yeah, 6 or 7. Let's go 6 or 7. You know.
I would lean towards a 7.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's do that. Oh my God, Tom, we agreed.
Yeah, I know. That's
didn't even have to fight.
No, I know. Didn't have to make any arguments on that one. Which
No.
is a surprise.
I'm sure there will be times where that doesn't work.
Yeah, there will be. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, that was Fight or Flight. And we'll be back next week to talk about the next episode, Strange New World. But if you want to join in on the conversation and let us know what you thought of Fight or Flight or Broken Bow or Star Trek in general, we'd love to have a conversation and hear from you about what you like about Star Trek and why the franchise is important to you. You can reach out to us via email at wakefield_productions@outlook.com. Or you can find us on Facebook and Instagram under Temporal Directive and send us a message through there. Otherwise, we'll see you next week.
See ya.
Live long and prosper.
Peace and long life.